Welcome back to ABC General Hospital Spoilers channel. Today, we will learn about the issue of Willow's second trial that is about to unfold in a dramatic turn of events that will shake the entire Port Charles community to its core. The courtroom drama is about to reach unprecedented levels as long-buried secrets finally come to light. And the truth about who really shot Drew Cain will finally be revealed in the most shocking way possible. Willow has been living under an enormous cloud of suspicion and doubt for far too long, facing charges that she knows in her heart she did not commit. She did not pull the trigger that shot Drew Cain, and yet all the evidence in the case seems to point directly at her. The investigation conducted by the Port Charles Police Department has been thorough, and every single piece of evidence they have collected appears to incriminate Willow in this terrible crime. The ballistics reports match her gun, the witnesses have placed her at the scene, and the motive is clear enough to any reasonable person examining the case. But the truth is something far more complicated and far more devastating than anyone could have possibly imagined at the start of this investigation. As Willow sits in the courtroom during the second trial, she is completely and utterly desperate. The weight of the situation has been crushing her for weeks and months. She knows that she is innocent, but knowing something is true and being able to convince 12 jurors of that fact are two entirely different things. The prosecution has built what appears to be an airtight case against her, and the defense team has been struggling to find any reasonable doubt that might convince even a single juror to vote for acquittal. Willow's family has been supporting her through this ordeal, but even their love and belief in her innocence cannot shield her from the very real possibility that she could be convicted of a crime she did not commit. The tension in the courtroom is absolutely suffocating as the trial progresses day after day. Lawyers present their arguments, witnesses take the stand and give their testimony, and the judge oversees the proceedings with a careful and watchful eye. The jury members sit in their seats, listening to every word, trying to determine the truth in this complex and deeply troubling case. Everyone in Port Charles has an opinion about whether Willow is guilty or innocent, and the community is completely divided on the matter. Some people believe that Willow is being framed, while others are convinced that she is exactly where she belongs, in the defendant's chair, facing serious criminal charges. But then something remarkable happens that nobody could have possibly predicted or anticipated. Scout, who has been sitting in the courtroom observer's gallery, can no longer bear the weight of the secret that she has been keeping hidden inside of her. Scout is young, but she understands the gravity of the situation and the moral importance of telling the truth, no matter how much it might hurt or how complicated it might make things. As the trial continues, and as Willow's fate hangs in the balance, Scout finds herself unable to remain silent any longer. Scout's internal struggle has been going on for a considerable amount of time. She has known the truth about what really happened to Drew Cain. She has known who actually pulled the trigger and who is actually responsible for this terrible act of violence. But she has been protecting someone she cares about very deeply, and that someone is Danny. Scout had made the decision to stay silent and to keep Danny's secret safe, choosing loyalty to her family member over her obligation to tell the truth. But as the trial has progressed, and as Willow faces the very real possibility of spending years in prison for a crime she did not commit, Scout has been wrestling with her conscience. The burden of keeping this secret has become too heavy for Scout to carry. She sits in the courtroom day after day, watching Willow struggle and suffer, listening to the prosecution present evidence that she knows is incomplete and misleading because it does not tell the whole story. She watches Willow's family members sitting in the gallery, their faces etched with worry and concern, wondering if the justice system will fail them. Scout watches all of this, and she feels the weight of what she knows pressing down on her shoulders with increasing force. During the trial proceedings, as lawyers are presenting their final arguments, and as the case appears to be moving toward a conclusion, Scout can no longer endure the situation. She cannot sit silently while Willow is being persecuted for something that she did not do. Scout cannot remain quiet while the true perpetrator walks free outside the courtroom. unburdened by justice and accountability. The moment arrives when Scout must make a choice between protecting her family and doing what she knows is right and just and true. Scout stands up in the courtroom. Everyone's attention immediately turns toward her. The judge looks at her with curiosity and some measure of concern. The lawyers pause in their presentations. The jury members turn to look at her. Willow's eyes widen with shock and confusion as she realizes what is happening. And then Scout, with a voice that trembles with emotion but remains steady and determined, reveals the truth that has been locked inside of her for so long. She tells the courtroom that she saw Danny shoot Drew. She tells everyone that Danny is the person who is actually responsible for this terrible crime. The revelation sends shockwaves through the entire courtroom. The impact of Scout's testimony is absolutely explosive and completely unexpected. Everyone is stunned by what they have just heard. This is not what anyone expected. This is not the conclusion that anyone anticipated. The prosecution looks confused and shocked. The defense team looks relieved, but also deeply troubled by the implications of what Scout has just revealed. The judge begins to process what has just happened and what this means for the trial and for the justice system in Port Charles. Willow's reaction to Scout's revelation is complex and deeply emotional. On one hand, she is relieved because this testimony could very well save her from conviction and imprisonment. But on the other hand, she is devastated because the truth that Scout has revealed involves Danny, who is someone that people in the courtroom care about. The relief of being vindicated is tempered by the sadness of knowing that someone else will now face serious criminal charges. Up until this moment of revelation, Scout had been protecting Danny by keeping her knowledge of the truth hidden away inside herself. Scout had witnessed Danny shoot Drew, but she had chosen to remain silent. Perhaps Scout was scared of what would happen if she told the truth. Perhaps Scout felt that she owed Danny her silence because of their family connection. Perhaps Scout was frightened of the consequences that Danny would face if she revealed what she knew. Whatever the reasons were for Scout's previous silence, those reasons are no longer sufficient to keep her quiet. The moral weight of Willow's situation has finally become too much for Scout to bear. Danny, who has been sitting in the courtroom or waiting outside for the verdict, is now confronted with the terrible reality that his secret has been exposed. His carefully guarded secret, which he thought would remain hidden forever, has now been revealed in front of the entire courtroom full of people. Everyone now knows that Danny is the person who shot Drew Kane. Everyone now understands that Danny is the true perpetrator of this crime. Everyone now knows that Willow has been suffering and facing trial for something that she did not do, while Danny has been walking free. The police officers in the courtroom immediately move into action. Danny is arrested on the spot. Handcuffs are placed on his wrists. He is read his rights. He is taken into custody by the Port Charles Police Department. What was once a case against Willow is now a case against Danny. The entire focus of the criminal justice system in Port Charles shifts from one defendant to another. The investigation that had seemed so solidly constructed against Willow is now being re-examined in light of this new information about who the real shooter actually is. Jason, who has been deeply involved in the situation and who cares very much about Danny, immediately begins to formulate a plan for how he might help Danny navigate through this terrible situation. Jason knows that Danny is facing very serious criminal charges. Jason understands that Danny could potentially spend a considerable number of years in prison if convicted. Jason also understands that he cannot simply allow Danny to face these charges alone without doing everything in his power to help him. Jason's determination to help Danny is driven by multiple motivations. Perhaps Jason feels a sense of responsibility toward Danny. Perhaps Jason believes that Danny committed this crime for reasons that were justified or understandable, even if not legal. Perhaps Jason simply cannot bear to see someone he cares about suffer the consequences of their actions without making an effort to help. Whatever Jason's motivations might be, he is now fully committed to finding a way to save Danny from the legal consequences that he now faces. Jason begins to explore every possible avenue that might help Danny's situation. He might work to uncover evidence that could help Danny's defense team construct a more compelling argument in Danny's favor. He might work to negotiate with prosecutors to see if there is any possibility of a plea deal that would result in a lighter sentence for Danny. He might work to gather character witnesses who could testify on Danny's behalf and who could help convince a judge or jury that Danny is not a terrible person who should be locked away for decades. He might work to find any extenuating circumstances or mitigating factors that could help Danny's case in the court system. The dynamics within Port Charles have now changed dramatically as a result of Scout's revelation. Willow is now free from the burden of being the accused in this trial. She can look toward a future without the threat of imprisonment hanging over her head. But this freedom comes at the cost of someone else's liberty, and that someone else is Danny. The community of Port Charles now must process the reality that the person they thought was guilty is innocent, and the person who nobody suspected is guilty. The relationships between characters are now strained and complicated by this revelation. Scout's relationship with her family is now more complex because she has chosen to tell the truth despite the fact that telling the truth has put Danny in legal jeopardy. The family must now come to terms with what Scout did and why she felt compelled to do it. Was Scout right to tell the truth, even though her truth has resulted in Danny's arrest? Or was Scout wrong to betray Danny's secret and to expose him to the criminal justice system? The trial proceedings now take on a completely different character and meaning. Instead of Willow being in the defendant's chair, Danny is now the focus of the criminal justice system. The evidence that was presented against Willow is now being re-examined in light of the new information about who the real shooter was. The witnesses who testified that they saw someone shoot Drew are now being asked to identify whether the person they saw was actually Danny instead of Willow. This twist in the case demonstrates the importance of truth and honesty in the criminal justice system. Scout's courageous decision to tell the truth, even though it was difficult and even though it put her in an uncomfortable position, has resulted in justice being done. An innocent woman has been freed from criminal charges, and the guilty party has been identified and arrested. While Danny now faces serious legal consequences as a result of Scout's revelation, at least the truth is now known, and the machinery of justice can now operate based on accurate information rather than misleading or incomplete information. Jason's efforts to save Danny will likely become a central storyline in the coming episodes and weeks of ABC General Hospital. Jason's determination and his willingness to do whatever it takes to help someone he cares about will be tested in numerous ways. Jason may find himself at odds with other characters who believe that Danny deserves to face the full consequences of his actions. Jason may find himself using questionable methods or morally ambiguous tactics in his effort to help Danny. Jason's actions in the coming episodes may reveal important things about his character and about his priorities and values. The revelation of the truth about who shot Drew Kane is a major turning point in the storyline. The first trial, which ended in a mistrial or some other inconclusive result, was based on the assumption that Willow was guilty. The second trial, which is now playing out in the courtroom, has been derailed by Scout's revelation of the truth. The legal system in Port Charles has been forced to confront the reality that it was pursuing the wrong defendant, and now justice must be redirected toward the actual perpetrator of the crime. Scout's action in standing up and revealing the truth is an act of courage. Scout is a young person, and young people often struggle with the difficult moral choices that adults face. But Scout has demonstrated that she has the moral courage to do the right thing, even when doing the right thing is difficult, and even when it causes pain to people she cares about. Scout's action will likely have significant repercussions throughout Port Charles as other characters come to terms with what Scout did and why she did it. The fact that Scout was protecting Danny before she revealed the truth speaks to the complicated nature of family loyalty and the tension between protecting loved ones and telling the truth. Scout made the decision to protect Danny, and that decision resulted in Willow being persecuted for a crime she did not commit. But once Scout could no longer bear the weight of that decision, she made a different choice. She chose truth over loyalty. She chose justice over family protection. This is a significant moment in Scout's character development, and it will likely influence how Scout approaches moral dilemmas in the future. As this storyline continues to unfold in the coming weeks and episodes of ABC General Hospital, viewers can expect to see significant developments in Danny's legal situation, in Jason's efforts to help Danny, and in the way that the community of Port Charles responds to the revelation of the truth. The second trial of Willow has become not just a trial about whether Willow shot Drew, but a larger story about truth, justice, loyalty, family, and the sometimes painful process of doing the right thing even when the right thing is difficult and even when the right thing causes pain to people we care about. Next, we will learn about the heartfelt return of Erika Slezak to the daytime drama world and the emotional layers it brought to Port Charles. In the bustling world of General Hospital, where family feuds and long-buried secrets define so many lives, Tracy Quartermain's rare act of humility stands out like a beacon amid the storm. After years of wielding her sharp tongue and unyielding pride, Tracy finally mustered the courage to offer Ronnie a genuine apology, one laced with the vulnerability that fans rarely glimpse from this Quartermain powerhouse. This poignant exchange unfolded in the grand halls of the Quartermain mansion, where shadows of past grievances lingered like unspoken ghosts, creating a moment of raw intimacy between two women shaped by life's relentless trials. As Ronnie prepared to vanish from Port Charles, slipping away with the same understated grace that marked her arrival, the scene left viewers pondering deeper mysteries, not just of plot twists, but of the real-life forces drawing legendary talents back to the screen. What hidden sparks ignited Erika Slezak's decision to step out of retirement after more than a decade? And why did the timing align so perfectly with General Hospital's evolving narrative? This return wasn't merely a cameo. It wove threads of nostalgia and renewal into the fabric of daytime television, reminding audiences why characters like Ronnie resonate so profoundly. Erika Slezak, the iconic portrayer of Vicky Lord on One Life to Live for decades, has long been a cornerstone of soap opera excellence. Her performances earning her multiple Daytime Emmy Awards and a devoted fanbase that spans generations. Her hiatus from the industry began around 2012, following the cancellation of OLTL, a show that had been her professional home since 1971, where she navigated Vicky through dissociative identity disorder, tumultuous romances, and family empires that mirrored the complexities of real American dynasties. In retirement, Slezak retreated to a quieter life in Pennsylvania, often cited in interviews as her chosen haven, focusing on family, philanthropy, and personal reflections that allowed her to process the whirlwind of a career that demanded emotional intensity day after day. Yet, the pull of storytelling never fully faded. She occasionally appeared in theater productions or lent her voice to audiobooks, keeping her acting muscles subtly engaged. When General Hospital's executive producer Frank Valentini extended the invitation for her to reprise Ronnie, a character from her OLTL past reimagined for Port Charles, Slezak faced a crossroads that tested her resolve. In a candid conversation with Soap Opera Digest, she revealed the initial wave of uncertainty that washed over her, a natural hesitation born from the rust that time can build on even the most seasoned performers. It was that quiet voice in the back of my mind asking if the old rhythms were still there, she shared, evoking the image of an athlete eyeing a long dormant track. This doubt wasn't rooted in fear of failure, but in the profound respect she holds for the craft of respect honed through thousands of scenes where precision and heart intertwined. The catalyst for Slezak's contemplation came not just from within, but from those closest to her, amplifying the personal stakes of such a return. Her son, ever the pragmatic voice in her life, mirrored her own reservations during a heartfelt family discussion, probing whether she could dive back into the demanding pace of soap opera scripting, memorizing dense monologues overnight and delivering them with unflinching authenticity under bright studio lights. At first, Slezak deflected with the confidence of her storied history, recalling how she'd juggled similar challenges for years. From Vicky's explosive confrontations to her tender maternal moments that tugged at viewers' heartstrings. But as the offer lingered, she delved into a period of introspection, weighing the comfort of her established routine against the thrill of rediscovering her passion. Valentini's vision for Ronnie played a pivotal role in tipping the scales. He envisioned her not as a glamorous interloper stirring chaos, but as a resilient, blue-collar figure whose unvarnished edges reflected the grit of everyday survivors in Port Charles. Ronnie's backstory, enriched in this arc, delved into her fractured bond with Monica Quartermain, a relationship that began with youthful promise, shattered under the weight of ambition and betrayal, and slowly mended through a series of poignant letters exchanged over years of silence. This layered history allowed Slezak to infuse the role with subtle depths, exploring themes of forgiveness and redemption that echo broader human experiences. In rephrasing the narrative, one can see how Ronnie's quiet strength forged in the fires of personal loss and hard-won wisdom serves as a counterpoint to the Quartermain's opulent dramas, highlighting how true connections often bloom in simplicity rather than spectacle. Once Slezak committed and arrived on the General Hospital set, the transition proved more seamless than anticipated, reigniting a spark she hadn't realized she'd missed so keenly. The first few days brought the expected adjustments, familiarizing herself with new blocking, the rapid-fire direction, and the collaborative energy of an ensemble cast, but soon, the dialogue flowed like a long-forgotten melody, pulling her back into the immersive world of character-driven storytelling. It was like slipping into an old, comfortable pair of shoes that still fit perfectly, she later reflected, her words capturing the joy of rediscovery after years away. This enjoyment extended beyond the technical aspects. Slezak found renewed purpose in portraying Ronnie's understated resilience, a woman whose life lessons were etched not in glamour, but in the scars of overlooked opportunities and quiet endurance. Analyzing the character's arc reveals how it subtly critiques societal expectations of women in power. Ronnie's lack of pretense contrasts sharply with Tracy's armored facade, creating fertile ground for thematic exploration on female solidarity amid rivalry. Off-script, Slezak's presence infused the production with a sense of history, as crew members and co-stars alike buzzed with excitement over her legendary status, fostering an atmosphere of mutual inspiration that elevated every scene. Beneath the professional triumph lies a more personal narrative that adds profound emotional weight to Slezak's journey. Her life in Connecticut, surrounded by the serene landscapes that offer solace after a high-octane career, remains fulfilling with pursuits like gardening, community involvement, and cherishing time with loved ones, elements that ground her amid the industry's chaos. However, the devastating loss of her daughter, Amanda, to a sudden illness nearly 2 years prior, created an indelible void, one that Slezak navigates with graceful resilience, channeling her grief into quiet advocacy for health awareness initiatives. This tragedy underscores the courage in her return. Daytime soaps, with their blend of heartache and hope, provided a therapeutic outlet, allowing her to process emotions through Ronnie's own veiled sorrows. The role's lighter beats, moments of wry humor and tentative warmth offered unexpected glimmers of levity, illustrating how art can heal even as it entertains. In a broader sense, Slezak's story exemplifies the enduring appeal of soap operas as spaces for catharsis, where actors like her confront universal themes of loss and renewal, mirroring the lives of fans who tune in for both escape and empathy. The set soon became a treasure trove of nostalgic surprises, blending Slezak's LTL legacy with General Hospital's vibrant presence in ways that delighted everyone involved. One standout encounter unfolded in the fictional diner, a hub of casual revelations in Port Charles, where Slezak spotted the back of Chris McKenna's head, portraying a familiar face, and instinctively called out Joey, in a nod to her on-screen son from One Life to Live. McKenna's playful retort, "Mom, I'm working," dissolved into shared laughter, a spontaneous bridge between past and present that that captured the familial warmth of soap families extending off-screen. This improvisation not only lightened the mood, but highlighted the meta layer of daytime TV, where actors' real bonds enhanced scripted drama. Equally charming was her collaboration with Josh Kelly, who embodied a rugged character reminiscent of LTL's Cutter Wentworth, allowing Slezak to deliver a flirtatious line. "I've always had a weakness for cowboys," as a cheeky homage to Vicky's storied affair with Clint Buchanan, the Buchanan patriarch whose charisma defined an era. Kelly's easy rapport brought fresh energy, their scenes exploring Ronnie's softer vulnerabilities with nuance that deepened the character's appeal. These interactions weren't just fun, they served as a detailed tapestry of interconnected soap lore, inviting fans to appreciate how crossovers enrich the genre's mythology, from subtle Easter eggs to overt callbacks that reward longtime viewers. As her brief stint wrapped, the outpouring of appreciation from the General Hospital team culminated in a touching gesture, a bouquet of flowers presented amid applause, symbolizing the immediate impact of her talent. Executive producer Frank Valentini, sensing the magic she'd brought, called out with optimistic insistence that she'd return for more stories, his words carrying the weight of genuine admiration from a man who's steered the show through countless innovations. Slezak responded with her trademark poise, a warm smile, and the non-committal yet open-ended "we'll see, a phrase that echoes the suspenseful cliffhangers fans adore, leaving room for possibility without over-premising. This ambiguity mirrors Ronnie's own exit, understated yet pregnant with potential, suggesting that Port Charles might not have seen the last of her quiet influence on the Quartermains. For Slezak, the experience reaffirmed the timeless allure of daytime drama, a world where reinvention is always within reach, and where even after a long absence, the heart of the story calls you home. As viewers await what's next, her return stands as a testament to the genre's power to surprise, heal, and connect across lifetimes.